Tonight, next steps in a Legionnaires outbreak.
We do expect cases to continue, for us to see cases come in over the next week or two.
With a likely source identified, health officials work to get the spread back under control. Plus, pushing transit expansion down the road.
It's difficult to tell residents that have been in their homes for 15 years, don't worry, transit's coming, but it's not coming till 2029.
The potential delays in getting new London buses and the impact on new routes. And water safety in Walkerton.
Our job is to remind them of, what can happen when you don't do your job properly.
The site of a drinking water disaster, now a training ground to prevent future tragedies.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Middlesex London Health Unit officials say they are confident they'll be able to get a Legionnaires outbreak back under control after redeclaring one yesterday. With more on the likely source they've identified, here's Gerry Dewan.
A team from a company that specializes in maintaining and repairing cooling towers could be seen working on the system at Sofina Foods. It's this system that the Middlesex London Health Unit says was the likely center of the Legionnaires' disease outbreak.
I didn't even know this was going on. It's pretty scary to hear.
Peggy Hill lives half a block away from Sofina and says she hadn't heard of the outbreak until this day. She says one of the people in her home is immunocompromised.
I'd like to know exactly what it is, how it will affect the environment, our breathing status and that.
The health unit says the outbreak has claimed 4 lives and sent nearly 90 people to hospital. Dr. Joanne Kieran is Associate Medical Officer of Health. She says identifying a source is a significant step forward in finally stemming the spread.
It means that we can ensure that the system is completely remediated. And that involves not just chemical disinfection, but actually opening the system up.
Dr. Kieran says as soon as the cooling towers at this location were identified as the most likely source of the outbreak, they were shut down immediately. She says while that should quickly halt the spread, it doesn't mean some people won't still present with Legionnaires' disease.
We do expect cases to continue, for us to see cases come in over the next week or two, because Legionella does have a long incubation period, and so there may have been people who were infected prior to us identifying the source and now mitigating the risk.
Dr. Kieran says most people coming in contact with Legionella bacteria won't show symptoms.
The people that we worry about are those who are elderly, immunocompromised, have underlying lung conditions, or are smokers.
She says 8 other cooling towers in the region where Legionella was identified are also being cleaned, but no disease cases have been linked to those towers. Gerry Dewan, CTV News.
Paratransit drivers in London have overwhelmingly rejected a proposed contract from their employer, Voyago, setting up possible strike action. According to the Amalgamated Transit Union, the starting wage is $18.50 an hour, and officials say that doesn't meet the demands of the job. This is the first contract negotiation since London's paratransit operators joined the ATU earlier this year, aligned with LTC drivers. According to Voyago's parent company, officials are taking the vote seriously, and they remain at the table. Talks are set to resume on September 8th. A strike could start as early as September 16th.
I've never had an issue with an employer like I have with Voyago. And this is really London Transit Commission's issue because they contract this work out. They dispatch the work. We pick up the money and give it to London Transit. The Voyago collects. It's almost like there's too many hands in the cookie jar. And I don't know why London Transit doesn't take this back under their own umbrella. And that way they can control the paratransit division. They can ensure that they hire, qualified, capable people that are dedicated and going to spend a career working for the City of London, opposed to guys cycling in and cycling out, picking up my grandmother who needs dialysis.
A new funding source could see London Transit extend bus routes into new parts of the city, but that rollout could be a while coming because of bus manufacturing delays. With more on that timeline, here's Daryl Newcombe.
It's a 15-minute walk every day from Arwanziata to reach his bus stop, because London Transit still doesn't have a route through the Fox Hollow neighbourhood in northwest London.
In total, it takes like an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes every day just to go to the college.
The London Transit Commission approved submitting a business case next year to tap into City Hall's annual assessment growth. the amount of property taxes generated on new construction each year. The funds are allocated to expand services that meet the needs of a growing city, like additional garbage collection, snow plowing, and police officers. But for the first time, extending bus routes will also qualify for Council's consideration.
This is a really exciting opportunity for us to recognize that some of that assessment growth money should be going towards transit services.
In 2026, the Transit Commission will request assessment growth funding to extend service into 4 neighborhoods. Then, in 2027, request funds for service in Fox Hollow and Hyde Park. But even if the funding is approved, the routes to underserved areas won't start until a couple years later.
It's difficult to tell residents that have been in their homes for 15 years, don't worry, transit's coming, but it's not coming till 2029.
Even after assessment growth dollars are awarded for a route extension, there's a significant lag time between when London Transit orders a new bus and it's actually built and delivered.
A year and a half to 2 years to get a new bus. So one of the things that was discussed briefly at the Commission today was the concept of what if we start pre-ordering before we've even approved the funding for it. It is a little risky because, as a Commission, we get our funding from the municipality.
It still feels like we're doing significant catch-up in our community, and I think it's very much something that we need to note with our provincial and our federal partners.
Federal funding would shave months or years off the route extension timelines by not having to wait for assessment growth to be generated each year. Marwan believes extending bus routes can't come soon enough for him, as well as neighbors unable to reach the current bus stop.
Many people doesn't have the ability to walk every day 15 minutes. Many people might be injured or might have like a accessibility problem.
Council allocates assessment growth dollars each spring outside of the budget process. Daryl, Newcombe, CTV News.
Premier Doug Ford says his government is considering getting rid of school board trustees, taking a shot at the Thames Valley District School Board over last year's spending controversy involving a pricey executive retreat at a Blue Jays game.
Well, there's some good and there's some bad ones. The bad ones like to go go to the baseball game and rent a box for, $34,000 and in the hotel suites looking over the baseball game that other people can't afford, and then they say they don't have money.
Hi there. It's been a beautiful day. Lots of sunshine across the region. We got out of the showers in Midwestern Ontario, and temperatures made it back into the upper teens in and around London, 20 to 22 degrees this afternoon. And as we head to Sarnia and Chatham at 21. Skies are mainly clear, and that's where we'll stay through the early evening. We'll start to see increasing cloud cover towards Wyerton with the chance of showers overnight, areas to the north. South of that, mainly clear. We'll start to thicken that cloud cover overnight in advance of a cold front that's rolling in for your Thursday. This one will bring showers and thunderstorms to the area and also a push of cool air as we head into the holiday weekend. We're at 15 degrees at midnight, winds light out of the southwest. Skies will be clear, but clouds moving in through the overnight and wet weather on the way. I'll have your holiday weekend forecast coming up.
Thank you, Julie. Southwestern public health officials have issued a boil water advisory for the Sweeburg area. That includes the eastbound en route service center near Woodstock. They say test samples indicated bacteria present. According to the health unit, residents under the advisory should bring water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute before consuming. In Walkerton, officials are hosting operators from all over the world, training them in drinking water safety. As Scott Miller reports, the legacy of the town's E. coli disaster lives on.
Water operators from across Ontario are in Walkerton this week to learn the lessons that should help prevent another town from going through what Walkerton did 25 years ago.
Because of what happened, it makes it so much more important just to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
In May 2000, E. coli entered Walkerton's drinking water system, leading to the deaths of 7 people and making thousands more ill. The town's water operators, Stan and Frank Cable, were charged with falsifying records in the wake of the tragedy. But an inquiry found that a lack of training played a role in the tragedy as well. So, 4 years after Walkerton's E. coli disaster, the Walkerton Clean Water Centre was built. Thousands of water operators from across Ontario now come to Walkerton each year to learn how to prevent a water-based tragedy from happening in their communities.
This shaped a lot of the requirements that are required for drinking water systems, like adopting a multi-barrier approach and just finding those lessons learned from the unfortunate incident that happened in Walkerton.
Some might suggest that haven't we learned the lessons from Walkerton by now? I mean, it was 25 years ago. We've been talking incessantly about drinking water quality since. But the folks here at the Walkerton Clean Water Centre point out that some of the water operators today and future water operators weren't born when the Walkerton water disaster happened in May of 2000. So learning the lessons of what happened here during those dark days is incredibly important.
I think I was probably 4, so I don't remember it at all. But learning about it since I've been in this career is definitely something that makes me want to be able to do my job very well and make sure that I think that's the last thing that you want on your conscience is anybody getting sick or anything like that. So that's something that's pretty important to me.
Many of the new operators coming into the industry now, they don't remember Walkerton, right? They were too young at that point. So our job is to remind them of, what can happen when you don't do your job properly. And, it provides meaning and context to their job so that they take it seriously and they learn what they need to learn.
It's not about keeping status quo. We have to continuously learn, continuously improve, and that's the only way we're going to get better and maintain the system in accordance with the regulations.
In Walkerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
A tough-on-crime message from the Premier today, sparked by a brazen LCBO theft in Kitchener last weekend. Thousands of dollars worth of booze was stolen in the middle of the day. As Spencer Turcott reports, Doug Ford wants the thieves thrown in jail.
A group of unmasked men are seen calmly loading bottles of alcohol into bags at this Kitchener LCBO. Police say it happened Saturday afternoon. 6 men in total took off with primarily scotch valued at an estimated $8,000.
Did you see these characters on the news last night that went into the LCBO up in Kitchener? They're brazen bunch of crooks.
Premier Doug Ford caught wind of the theft and took it upon himself to go on what he called a crime rant.
They just do not care. They go in there, they start loading up, and loading up. And do you know what's ironic? It's the taxpayers' money, the LCBO. And so they're stealing off the taxpayers.
Waterloo Regional Police say the chief and premier have been in contact over the issue.
I have all the confidence in the world in the police services, Waterloo Police Services. The chief, he's a champion, the chief. We got to catch these guys and throw them in jail.
Deputy Chief Jen Davis said they appreciate the Premier's support in arresting and prosecuting individuals responsible for this sort of crime, which is skyrocketing.
We've had over 900 LCBO-related calls this year already. We've laid over 500 charges.
Investigators say this could be linked to multi-jurisdictional crime groups, so they are using the clear cell phone video captured to work with other police forces to find the suspects.
We know that on the clandestine market, this type of product is fetching 40 to 50% of the original cost, which is then being turned into fueling other criminal activity.
Seeing the thieves unfazed by cameras in their faces had Ford reminiscing about the actions of a customer during a Toronto area LCBO theft from last year.
I'd love to meet that guy one day. You gave him a couple slugs in the head. They deserve a slug in the head every once in a while.
Those comments had shoppers divided at the Kitchener LCBO where the weekend theft happened.
There's a lot of ways to use a bottle than just drink out of it.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm out of here. Peace.
Meanwhile, the message from police is clear.
I don't encourage anyone in public engaging with these individuals. I know it's frustrating, but unfortunately, we don't know if these individuals are armed with any type of weapon.
Spencer Turcott, CTV News.
London police say they've charged a woman accused of a stabbing attack from Sunday morning. They say the victim was a woman the suspect knew, and she suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. London police say they've arrested a 27-year-old man accused of several indecent acts in recent days. Police say the man committed indecent acts in a pool and hot tub at a public facility on Waterloo Street last week, but was not apprehended. Several hours later, a man was reported for similar reasons at 2 downtown parks. Investigators determined the same person was responsible, saying he also committed indecent acts at the Central Library on the same day. Police say 2 days later, a reported stolen car eventually led them to the arrest on Chippewa of the Thames. His charges include indecent acts, voyeurism, and vehicle theft. Aylmer police say a suspect wanted in a serious intimate partner violence investigation was arrested in London. According to police, the arrest happened near a motel complex on Wellington yesterday. A light armored vehicle was on the scene along with the canine unit. Police were seen taking a man into custody. Officers also used riot shields and dog catcher poles to retrieve a dog. They say the suspect remains in custody. A class action lawsuit triggered by the Wheatley explosion may be discontinued. As Michelle Molesky reports, that's because payouts have already been made.
On August 26, 2021, hydrogen sulfide from an underground well exploded at Erie and Talbot in Wheatley. 20 people were hurt, dozens of buildings were heavily damaged. Now, as we've reported, a year later, a $100 million class action lawsuit was launched by a Windsor law firm against the municipality of Chatham-Kent and HSE Integrated Limited, a safety equipment company based in Hamilton. This March, the municipality confirmed the province helped them pay 54 business applicants a total of $7.2 million in compensation, plus another $1.4 million was given to displaced or impacted residents. As a result, the law firm told the court a class action may no longer be viable. Now, we learned late today, lawyers must now ask the court to allow the class action to be discontinued. That hasn't happened yet. Now, the court also allows the municipality and HSE to countersue the residents and business owners for their legal fees. Specifically, Chatham-Kent paid a $250,000 deductible the minute the class action was launched. Today, the municipality confirmed they are asking their insurer to not countersue the residents or business owners of Wheatley for legal expenses to date. Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
The federal artificial intelligence minister was in London today visiting a science-based charity.
Would you like to go in a submarine under the ocean or to the moon?
Submarines.
Evan Solomon was at Let's Talk Science reviewing several programs designed to teach kids about the impact of AI. Let's Talk Science is based here in London, but its services are provided at 6,300 schools. Staff say they've received nearly $3 million in funding so far, enhancing programs for students coast to coast. They say AI is just one of their focuses, with a growing impact on education.
Computers and AI is going to be a part of the world for the kids these days. So we need to teach them that computing and use of computers is the foundation of all sorts of jobs out there these days. One of the things that they need to start thinking about is how to use AI for their benefit and how to think about the ethics and what the results are that they're getting out of use of AI. What are the kinds of questions that you're going to be asking? What are the results that you're going to be getting? And how do you ensure that those results are true?
City Council has backed down from setting a deadline for the Public School Board to get approval for a new Northwest London high school.
The priority, which is to support 1196 Sunningdale Road West as a school site.
2 weeks ago, the Planning Committee recommended giving the Public Board 3 years to approve a high school, or the site developer could build residential apartment buildings instead. However, letters from the board and the property owner warned a deadline could jeopardize provincial funding. Instead, Council approved zoning for either a school or apartments with no timeline.
We received communication from the Director of Education saying that they are proceeding very well and that they have been working through this process with the developer and that they don't want to impede that conversation.
A motion to add protections for prime agricultural land within city limits failed last night at Council.
The urgency for us to develop a path forward that balances growth, but also with farmland stewardship.
Not only what Middlesex, but looking at Oxford, Elgin, we have a lot of areas that feed the city, but we also have to look in as well.
The motion asked for a staff report about creating an agricultural offset policy in London. Such a policy would ensure a parcel of farmland would be protected if development is approved on a similar agricultural property. However, the motion for a staff report and analysis of what other cities do failed by a single vote.
I know Councillor Frank's not asking for a budget commitment or anything like that in this motion, but ultimately that's where land trusts go, because you have to have money to buy land to then put into the trust.
Coming up, a dozen countries suspend mail service to the U.S. as a new Trump tax kicks in. Plus, the Prime Minister emphasizes Canada's commitment to Europe, visiting troops in Latvia.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Rock the Runway is landing at the London International Airport September 12th and 13th. Enter at CTVLondon.ca for your chance to win a pair of VIP tickets to see Noah Khan, Miles Smith, and more on Friday, September 12th.
Higher costs could soon be on the way for many Canadian small businesses. Starting Friday, an American exclusion for shipping fees will come to an end. With more on the expected impact, here's Rachel Aiello.
So we'll do a CUSMA form for these.
The United States is scrapping its tariff exemption on parcels worth $800 or less. It means starting Friday, all of those U.S.-bound shipments will be hit with duties.
It would have an immediate impact. The antique parts of our business are a substantial part of what we do. We've seen that business growing over the years, especially down into the U.S.
Many small shop owners like David Pelkey are facing a tough choice. Absorb or pass on the cost, cut off a key market, or go through the complex process of becoming CUSMA compliant.
This is going to have implications for a lot of Canadian businesses, and it's coming at a time where you don't necessarily have a lot of resilience in the small business sector.
But U.S. President Donald Trump dumping de minimis is also set to cost American consumers and could result in big headaches for border agents.
It was there for a reason.
Millions of duty-free packages enter the U.S. daily. But with this change looming, postal operators in at least 25 countries are suspending U.S. shipping, citing the lack of clarity around enforcement. Canada Post is not one of them. Instead, they'll be using a third-party program to collect and send the duties directly to U.S. Customs. The Crown Corporation said the duty will be equal to the tariff rate of a product's country of origin. For Canada, the current rate is 35% for most goods. A key caveat to take note of, Canada Post flagged to us today that documents and gifts valued under $100 sent from Canadians, not businesses, will be exempt. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has wrapped up his European tour, sending a message of gratitude this morning to Canadian soldiers stationed in Latvia. Abigail Beeman has more on his final day overseas.
Inside a field ambulance, up close with tanks, Prime Minister Mark Carney talked to dozens of Canadian troops to learn what they do, and he heard what they need.
And you see how important, for lack of a better term, drones are in the Ukraine fight. We are watching, studying, understanding how that fight is there, but we need those pieces of equipment here in Latvia.
Drone operator Wayne Fraser says modernization would help too, right down to his tactical vest.
It is a little outdated. There's no modular capability with it, which can be a little bit impeding.
We're also, back home, creating a new defense procurement agency so we can build at pace. So the women and men of the armed forces have cutting-edge military equipment that they need and deserve.
About 200 kilometers from the Russian border, the Prime Minister announced a 3-year extension of Operation Reassurance, saying, unfortunately, the need for the Canadian-led NATO mission here has only intensified. Carney didn't take questions. His defense minister pushed on whether Canadian troops in Ukraine was a possibility, regardless of a ceasefire.
These conversations are continuing. Obviously, the United States has an important role to play. So we'll see.
Latvia was the last stop on a 4-country European tour for the Prime Minister, who told Canadian troops here in Latvia what he told Ukrainians in Kyiv, that the strategy for Russia needs to be deter and fortify. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Camp Adige, Latvia.
A rally outside Queen's Park today opposing provincial legislation, which they say would give the government too much power over education decisions. Beth McDonnell has more on their concerns.
Educators, students, and NDP MPPs have gathered outside here at Queen's Park to oppose Education Bill 33, calling it a power grab over school boards. There's several parts of the legislation they take issue with. The main issue they have with this bill is it legislates making it easier for the government to effectively take control of school boards. Depending on certain situations, it would allow the minister to give directions to boards on what the government calls matters of public interest and give the minister power to establish policies and guidelines around school board expenses. They also have a problem with a section of the bill that would create a requirement for boards to work with local police services to provide them with access to school premises, allow officers to take part in school programs, and bring in school resource programs.
We are here to send a clear message to Ford government and Education Minister Paul Calandra, and unequivocally, collectively say no to Bill 33, no to power grabs, no to take over school boards, no to the elimination of school boards, no to policing in schools, yes to properly funded, supported, resourced public education.
The group says the government is actually trying to manufacture a crisis in which requiring them to intervene in the school boards. I have reached out to the education minister's office for comment on the complaints from this rally. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Julie joins me on the desk now. A pretty beautiful day here in London. A little cool still, but fresh, I think, is the word that you like to use, especially for those mornings. But it does sound like it's going to change for tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a cold front coming in, and this one will bring some rainfall. So pack your rain gear as you head out the door, especially if you're spending an extended period of time outdoors tomorrow. We'll have some showers moving in by around lunchtime in London and some thunderstorms. Now, earlier in the day, expecting the rain in Midwestern Ontario as you head out the door. 21 degrees are high today, 10 degrees are low. So yeah, it was cool this morning, that's for sure, but it's been feeling beautiful, comfortable with low humidity. Satellite radar showing the rainfall well off to the northwest in northern Ontario. And again, this is in advance of a cold front. Now, our area of high pressure will hold through the evening, and that frontal boundary will slowly start to slump down towards the lower Great Lakes. And in advance of it, yes, the rain starts to come in. So as we take a look, you can see where it's sitting right now. We have a few thunderstorms that have bubbled up in advance of it. It'll take its time just dropping in as we head through the day tomorrow. It'll cross the lower Great Lakes, and in behind it, some cooler air will once again flood in. Where it's not cool and where they're dealing with heat warnings is in Western Canada. Dealing with that all week, and once again tonight, heat warnings in effect. So it looks like they've stole the summer weather, and we're dealing with some cooler conditions. Still 27 to 30 degrees. Temperatures through the afternoon into the low 30s and feeling some intense heat. That will stay into the area in the coming days. Now, as we look at forecast models, and of course I like to do that looking ahead to September. Temperatures heading into next week look close to normal for this time of year, but following that, as we head mid-month September, temperatures are expected to shift for us, and we're going to get back into some heat and some warmth. Cold front comes in as we head into Thursday afternoon, evening. The cooler air will filter in behind. High pressure builds for the weekend, and the holiday weekend is setting up to be a nice one. We have a nice mix of sun and cloud on the way, although if you are planning some beach days or some pool days, it will be a bit cooler. Sunday into Monday, though, that'll be the best time if you are planning some outdoor water fun. As we take a look at the 36-hour model, you can see some showers towards the Bruce Peninsula, northern Bruce County, as we head toward Tobermory this evening. 10 to 11 o'clock, and then showers and thunderstorms along that boundary. Now, it looks to be splitting up a little bit over London. Some heavier action towards Windsor and Chatham. But as we head into the late afternoon, evening, still the chance for showers. So the front comes through, the temperatures will start to drop off, and the cooler air will just be coming in. So we'll reach our high early in the day. Around 19 degrees in London, and then by the afternoon, we're down to about 16. So you'll feel that change for sure. Temperatures overnight, anywhere from 11 to 12 degrees if you're near Lake Huron or Erie, Georgian Bay. Temperatures from about 14 to 15 degrees. Tomorrow morning, mainly cloudy. We could see a few peaks of sunshine in London early, but by the afternoon, rain coming in and the winds out of the west. 19 by noon hour and then down to 16 as we head into the afternoon. Our Metal Roof Outlet forecast for Friday, a mix of sun and cloud in 19, but look at the overnight lows. Wow, that's cool. 6 to 7 degrees. So that'll take us right into Sunday, Monday. But daytime highs recover Sunday, Monday, 23 to 24. Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud, and there's where temperatures start to creep back up, 25 and 25 degrees heading back to school. Midwestern Ontario, showers and thunderstorms, possibility of about 10 to 15 millimeters of rainfall in and around Owen Sound. So areas of Grey and Bruce County will likely pick up some heavier rainfall. Friday, a mix of sun and cloud. The weekend looks absolutely fantastic, although it will be very cool in the morning and cool in the evening. Great campfire weather for the areas that are now able to have those outdoor fires. Mix of sun and cloud Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday. Daytime highs early next week, recovering quite nicely from 23 to 24. Carlyle, back to you.
Thanks very much, Julie. When we come back, Air Canada flight attendants begin 10 days of voting with a tentative contract on the table.
Make sure you're listening to Prize Town tomorrow morning at 7:10. We're giving you another chance to win the gift of hope.
A $100 OLG voucher. Just think about what you could spend those millions on. Good luck tomorrow morning.
Air Canada flight attendants began voting on a new collective agreement today. More than 10,000 workers are eligible, with voting wrapping up September 6th. The proposed deal includes a pay bump and addresses unpaid work concerns for when planes are on the ground. The airline and union agreed to the tentative deal last week, ending a 3-day strike that made for a chaotic travel situation for many flyers. New data shows Canadian snowbirds may not be in much of a hurry to get back down south this winter. A survey from Royal LePage found 54% of respondents who own a home in the U.S. are considering selling it within the next year. More than 60% said that's because of the political climate. Nearly a third said they'll buy Canadian instead, reinvesting in the domestic real estate market. South Bruce OPP say a Kincardine resident has lost almost $100,000 in a cryptocurrency scam. Police say the victim made numerous transactions over the last several months. According to police, they were told to send more money to a crypto website, and when they tried to withdraw their cash, they realized it was a scam. Ontario researchers are using nuts to generate power. Spencer Turcotte has more on the University of Waterloo project, creating electricity from walnut shells and water.
You could say University of Waterloo researchers are going nuts for green energy.
Cheers.
Cheers to the future energy.
Inspiration for a new way to harvest it struck during snack time.
I was eating hazelnut once in my home, and I saw the nut structure. Something came in my mind, so we can utilize this nut shell structure to harvest energy.
Sounds nutty, right? But where most people see dips and divots inside a nut, Nazmul Hossain saw the complex networks of pores as a travel system for electricity. They sampled many nuts and found they could get the most wattage from walnuts.
And the good thing is it's like agricultural waste. So we are just throwing it out. We don't utilize it.
The discovery comes at a time when industries are struggling to find renewable energy sources. So how does it work? In a nutshell, they use this device known as a water-induced electrical generator.
As the water is going through the holes, it generates electricity, as we can see in the monitor there.
By connecting the device to discarded walnut shells, it uses the water that flows through the nutshell structure, and as it moves, it transports electrically charged ions through the wires, which interact with the surface of the shells to create a charge imbalance that generates electricity.
So this one currently can easily turn on a calculator.
However long it takes for the water to evaporate is how long it can send an electrical current. The team is now looking ahead to see how they can power more devices.
I hope I can utilize this for even further electronic devices like the smartwatch or more small biomedical devices. We can even wrap it in our hand just behind the smartwatch. So it can be used like hair, and it can be banded with the smartwatch.
So it seems they've cracked the code, using a food that powers our brains to instead power our devices. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News.
Strength in the financial sector helped Canada's main stock index finish higher today. The TSX is up 93 points. In New York, the Dow added 147. The Nasdaq gained 46. Canadian dollar climbed 0.08 today. On commodity markets, gold is up $15.60 an ounce. Oil added 90 cents a barrel. Still ahead, the new school year marred by a mass shooting in Minnesota. Details on the investigation and the casualties. Welcome back. Canadian pediatricians are warning about the potential dangers associated with workout supplements popular with many teenagers. Pauline Chan has more on the complications they can cause.
The survey looked at 857 pediatricians across Canada and showed 17% of them had dealt with adolescents who needed medical attention because of dietary supplements or performance-type drugs over the past year.
Most of them are related to things like gastrointestinal issues or maybe some sort of like cardiac issues, maybe in arrhythmias, things of that nature.
Kidney problems were also common. The vast majority of the patients were boys. More than half were aged 13 to 15, and a third were aged 10 to 12. More than half of the doctors say they never screen regularly for supplements or performance-enhancing chemicals, and a quarter said they had no knowledge about the substances.
I think the important thing is just to recognize, especially for parents and pediatricians and healthcare providers at large, is that these dietary supplements in particular are very, very easily accessible. You can buy them at Costco, you can buy them at Shoppers.
Items such as whey powder, pre-workout mixes, and creatine are also available online. And lead researcher Kyle Ganson says their use has been increasing in teens recently.
Certainly social media is a big proponent of this and obviously influencing a lot of young people to go towards some of these supplements.
Use of illegal drugs such as anabolic steroids has also been on the rise in kids, and Ganson says the harms are not just physical.
Also things like body image issues or other disordered eating patterns or overexercising, which again can also cause some other problems.
He says parents and healthcare providers need to know more about these substances and encourage safe use of them. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Premier Doug Ford announced the first steps toward Highway 413 construction.
Construction alone will keep 6,000 workers on the job and will add $1 billion to Ontario's GDP every single year. It will shorten travel times by up to 30 minutes per trip, helping people and goods get where they need to go faster. Highway 413 will protect our workers and will help us stand up to President Trump. It will deliver on our plan to build a stronger, more prosperous Ontario for decades to come.
Highway 413 will run between York, Peel, and Halton regions. Doug Ford says construction will start with resurfacing on Highway 10, preparing for a new bridge over the future route. Crews will also begin upgrades at the 401-407 interchange, where Highway 413 will end on its western side.
With every project that we have, we'll continue to get the procurements out. We'll continue to work with those in the industry to accelerate it, get it done as quickly as possible. But with every one of our projects, this is the first start of our early works, and we have every intention of using every resource possible to get it done as quickly as possible, as fast as possible, and get as many shovels in the ground as we can across the entire 52-kilometer stretch of this highway.
Opposition leaders have disputed the government's claims, saying the potential time saving for commuters will actually be minimal. They say Premier Ford is only interested in boosting land values along the new highway for developers. Environmental advocates have also criticized the project, saying it will harm waterways and dozens of at-risk species. Police in New Jersey came to the rescue of an 8-year-old boy trapped on the second floor of a burning building.
Whoa, we right here. Got you, brother. Go. Right by us in there, brother. Let's go, kid.
Police say the child became stranded upstairs and had no other option to get out. They say he was rushed to hospital for smoke inhalation, but he's now doing fine.
Our photograph of the day coming from Grand Bend. Thank you so much to Wendy Gray. A northerly flow over the lakes creates lots of off-lake cloud cover and some rough waters. As we head into tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms with the cold front moving through. The weekend will start on the cool side, but will end on a warmer note with temperatures warming Sunday into Monday.
Authorities in Minnesota are investigating a mass shooting at a church. They say 2 children are dead and 17 others are injured, many of them kids as well. With more, here's NBC's Chris Pallone.
Another mass shooting in America, this time in Minneapolis.
Just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy.
It happened at Annunciation Church as children from the adjoining Catholic school celebrated the start of a new year with a mass. Neighbors described hearing the unmistakable sound of gunfire.
So it was sporadic. It was a semi-automatic. It seemed like a rifle. It certainly didn't sound like a handgun.
Police say a gunman, early 20s, dressed in black, barricaded the church doors and opened fire.
Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building.
It was really scary.
10-year-old Weston Halsney says shots came through the window next to him.
Again, I just ran under the pew, and then I covered my head. My friend saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit.
Several law enforcement sources have identified the shooter to NBC News as Robin Westman. Police say Westman was armed with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol. They say the suspect died by suicide at the scene. Sources say Westman had posted videos online that referenced suicide, extremely violent thoughts, an apology to their family, and contained a sketch of a church interior.
The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
Investigators say the motive for the attack is still unclear. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
A Maritime mayor is taking a stand, calling out increasing instances of elected officials receiving threats. Avery McRae has more on the numbers and the response.
St. Stephen's mayor says abuse towards members of council, as well as town staff and volunteers, has gone beyond a few critical social media posts.
I'm seeing physical assaults happen, threats to livelihoods, threats to persons. It's getting dangerous, and I'm worried.
The escalation in incidents prompted the border town's mayor to write an open letter to residents condemning a rise in personal attacks, harassment, and intimidation against council and staff. Alan McCachran knows decisions by the municipality don't always get a 5-star review, but a disagreement doesn't warrant the actions he's seen.
We should be showing our children how to act and not normalize this, and I know this is way bigger than little old St. Stephen here, but we got to do better, and we got to start somewhere.
Since the town of St. Stephen made the post to social media, Mayor Alan McCachran says he has heard from a number of other municipalities in the province who are dealing with similar issues. The Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick says the rise in elected official harassment is happening nationwide.
We're all talking about, what are ways that we can, work on this challenge collectively. How do we make things, create a good environment for folks who want to, run?
New Brunswick towns like St. Stephen will be at municipal polls in about 9 months. And McCachran admits it's hard to encourage people to run.
I'm worried that, we're going to miss out on the opportunity of getting some great leaders to sign up and run for our communities on all levels of government. And I've been watching that for a long time, and it's very concerning.
In a statement to CTV, a spokesperson for New Brunswick's Department of Local Government says they are aware of a rise in harassment claims against elected officials and are keeping in touch with other provinces and territories to learn how they are handling similar issues. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. Stephen, New Brunswick.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
It's Jeff Keefe and Backstage Ben from Virgin Radio, and we're sending you to London's largest outdoor festival, Rock the Runway.
Tickets are on sale now, or you can listen to us on 97.5 Virgin Radio for your chance to win Noah Kahn tickets.
Welcome back. A retired metal worker in France has completed a massive project 8 years in the making. This is a 1/10 scale replica of the Eiffel Tower. Its assembly was capped off with a crane hoisting the topmost segment into place. It stands 31 meters tall, built from historical plans the creator discovered in a 1989 reproduction of the tower's original drawings. An American woman is gaining quite a social media following thanks to her gluten sniffing companion. ABC's Danny New has more on her dog, responsible for dietary approval.
How did I get my gluten detection dog? I trained her.
This is Suki, a certified cutie and a certified gluten detection dog.
How essential is Suki to your life?
She is such a game changer for me.
For California's Kendra Williams here, who has celiac disease.
Good girl.
Her 5-year-old Portuguese water dog has been trained to smell mom's food and give the signal if there are any traces of gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. According to the Cleveland Clinic, when you ingest gluten with celiac disease, your immune system starts attacking the gluten, damaging your small intestine.
Yes.
So when Kendra goes out to eat, for example, Suki will boop her if the food is safe, and if it's not, Suki will alert Kendra with a little paw action. Back in 2017, when Kendra was first diagnosed in her late 40s, she says even a breadcrumb could suddenly cause internal damage and leave her sick for weeks.
Good sit.
So in the 2020 lockdown, Kendra decided to use that time to adopt and train a 10-week-old doggy detective. For 2 years, they took online courses together with a special trainer, and within the first year, Suki could already help with a perhaps surprising gluten container, medicine. 5 years later, not only is Suki helping Kendra eat safely all over the country, but she's also become pretty famous now. This video from earlier this month has more than 10 million views, with one commenter writing, "Not only would I trust Suki with my food, I trust her to be my power of attorney."
It took a lot of work to get here, but she is a wonderful girl.
And finally tonight, an annual tomato festival in Spain that turns into a massive food fight. This is a small town near Valencia. Its streets flooded with people and tomato pulp at the annual La Tomatina Festival. The community's population more than doubles to 22,000 during the event, a tradition dating back to 1945. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.